down the basement, lock the cellar door, and baby, talk bloody to me.
Hi, and welcome to our special Easter and 420 episode of Talk Bloody to Me. I'm Matt.
And I'm Brezzy.
And for those of you who are just listening, Breezy has bunny ears and a wonderful, sexy bunny outfit,
Well, it's a Playboy bunny outfit.
right?
Yep.
Representing Easter. And I have a uh, marijuana leaf skull.
Mm.
Marijuana leaf skull. That was a gift from Brian, our good friend Brian. Wicked Wounds FX, shout out. Check out our previous interview with him. But
Yep.
yeah, so representing 420. And last year, in honor of Easter, Rising from the Dead, we talked about Evil Dead Rise. This year, we wanted to keep the Living Dead theme going, and we wanted to talk about a movie that was going to be have several guests at Crypticon, which is Return of the Living Dead, and Easter falls on 420 this year, and we had a fan request a movie called Bong of the Living Dead. That was Dazzle Doodle. Shout out Dazzle Doodle. Woo!
Woo!
So we are going to cover Bong of the Living Dead and Return of the Living Dead. And
Mm.
spoiler alert, the Bong of the Living Dead portion is probably not going to be very long because apologies to Dazzle Doodle. We love you. Thanks for following. Thanks for the request. And Aaron, you will be happy to know if you're listening that Breezy liked this movie even less than Low Lifes. So
Yeah.
a new
Yeah.
bar, a new low has been set. And that is Bong of the Living Dead. Just briefly, this is a trying to be a stoner comedy slash zombie film, and I think it kind of fails all around, but it's definitely something. Breezy, how far did you make it into the movie?
It was okay, like in like 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I get into 20 minutes into the movie. I'm like, oh my God, like this is like kind of stupid. Was to see if I can make it through the whole movie. And I went to maybe about 35 minutes. And then I sent Matt a message. I'm like, oh my God, I cannot watch this anymore. This is so stupid and it's like insanely stupid that
Right.
this is like worse than Low Lives. And then
Right.
Matt responded back to me and he said, yeah, I kind of did the same thing too, but you kind of made it all the way through the movie and
I
I did
toughed it
not.
out. The last 15 minutes were brutal, but I toughed it out. It helped that I was in a similar state of mind as the characters in the movie, we shall say. That made me resonate with the movie a little bit more. But yeah, this movie. So it starts off the one guy, they're getting stoned, and the one coughs and says Christ or something, and so they call him Christ through the whole movie. And then they have the joke where someone says Jesus. He's like, no, I'm not Jesus, I'm Christ. And it's old the first time they make the joke, and then they make it several more times. And every time they make that joke, I died a little inside. I prayed for Jesus Christ to come and end the suffering, to bring the mercy.
Yeah.
But basically, this came out in 2017. It's must be pretty independently made. I don't recognize any of the names in here. On the IMDb page, none of the actors have photos, so that tells you
Yep.
something right there. Apparently, the director is Max Groa. Gra. I'm probably not pronouncing that right. Gra. He's like half crow, but so this is like these are some stoners that are smoking weed and talking about how they love zombie movies and how cool would it be if a zombie apocalypse actually happened, and then all of a sudden, bada bing, bada boom, there's zombies after a really hardcore like sex scene that's right there at the beginning, kind of like pulled my interest a little bit. Like, okay, the zombies coming, just wait for them, and then the zombies
Yep.
come and they kill people and they just kind of come out of nowhere and they never do explain the zombies ever. It's kind of a thing with the movie where like the characters are like, oh, do you think it's a virus, do you think it's this, do you think it's that, and they never say where the zombies come from, but who really cares at the
Yeah.
end of
It's like
the day?
they're getting high and they don't remember where these like zombies are coming from.
Right.
It's
And
like the
so
story doesn't make sense besides they're all getting high.
and so kind of the premise is that these guys used to fantasize and play video games about zombies and dream about a zombie apocalypse because they thought it would be so cool and they had all these plans of what they were going to do. And then when it actually happens, and they're just kind of disappointed and bummed out because it's not how they imagined it would be. And they go outside right away, and there's not very many zombies, which I thought was, I got to give the movie a little bit of credit. I liked how it, like, very, the slow pace, like in every zombie movie, it's like zombies, blam, all of a sudden there's zombies everywhere. And in
Yeah.
this movie, they go outside and there's like groups of normal people like having protests, like down with zombies or some shit like that. And they're like, we're gonna band together and fight back. And they're like, well, this is stupid. There's too many normal people around. So I thought that was kind of funny. But then they go inside, they smoke, get high, fucking a, and then you know how they do. And meanwhile, things are getting progressively worse outside, and then it gets bad, and then they go out to try and find more weed, and then it gets like more violent, and the tone is kind of, it's trying to be funny, but then it's trying to be like, oh, but this is actually serious now, uh, and then at the end, I just didn't care anymore. Just was like, come
Yeah.
on. I was like, I don't remember which Mystery Science Theater it is, but there's one where Tom Servo was just yelling "and" at the end of it, and that's what I was doing at the end of this movie. So that's Bong of the Living Dead. Worst, most disappointing thing of all. At no point in the movie is there a Bong of the Living Dead, a titular Bong of the Living Dead. I was
Yeah,
waiting
that's what
for.
I thought. I thought it'd be like maybe like these zombies are getting like found at this big huge bong or whatever and
Right.
started getting high and killing people.
I thought for sure they were going to find some stupid like artifact relic and then turn it into a bong because they're stolen, like, hey, look at this, and then smoke weed out of it, and that was what was going to make the zombies happen. Or, and then when that didn't happen, I thought it was going to be that they find some kind of magical bong that stops the zombies, which they do kind of make a leaf blower that blows weed smoke all over the zombies. So that was mildly entertaining, but yeah,
Yeah. Um,
I give it a two.
fuck, I'd give it a zero.
You didn't even finish it. That's
No.
like negative score.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. But thanks for the request. Thanks, Dazzle
Yeah,
Doodle.
thanks,
Keep the
Dazzle.
requests coming.
I don't know why you requested this one, but okay.
It was it was worth it was worth seeing, so I can say that I've seen it.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
And so then moving on, we'll talk about the movie that Bong of the Living Dead desperately wanted to be. They watched too many Kevin Smith movies and tried to remake this movie, The Return of the Living Dead. And this came out in 1985, director Dan O'Brien. And we were
And
talking,
the Return of the Living Dead, um, even though yeah, we were reviewing this for like Easter,
yeah,
but the Return of the Living Dead reunion is going to be at Crypticon.
exactly.
So there's going to be I think Tom Matthews,
Yep.
Beverly Randolph, and then you got Alan Truman, which brains.
Yep, the tar man himself.
Yep, and he actually did that TV show Dinosaurs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like look
I
him
love
up
that
once.
show.
I think correct me. I'm pretty sure he did.
Okay.
And then John Philippin, and then Jewel Shepard, and then Miguel Nuts Jr. or something like that.
Nunez,
They, Nunez, yeah, Jr. They're all
who,
going to be at Crypticon in
who,
Minnesota.
yeah, count them, six cast members from Return of the Living Dead. And Miguel, he is also in Friday the 13th, Part 8. He's the boxer that Jason
Yep.
punches his head
Yep.
off. So double cool there. I almost said
Uh-huh.
double banger. That's a whole different thing. Anyways, so, Return of the Living Dead. This movie, I have never seen it before. Have you seen this before?
I have not, no.
Me either. I didn't realize how much of the zombie like tropes, like brains and like chemicals and all these kind of different things that you just naturally associate with zombies are like from
Yeah.
this movie. But basically, the premise of this is there's a medical supply company that supplies cadavers and dead bodies to different places like schools and hospitals and things. And so this guy's training in the new worker and he's showing them the dead bodies with the perfect teeth and the split dog, which is basically like a half a dog split down the middle, and you can see all the guts and organs inside. And then they're talking about, well, what's the scariest thing you've ever seen? And he's like, oh, you know that movie Night of the Living Dead, like the classic George Romero. And he's like, that was actually based on a true story, but they changed it all around. But we got the military had these bodies that they brought back to life with this chemical, and we got them stored in the basement because they sent them to us by accident. And the guy's like, what, really? So then they go and look, and he's like, do these things ever leak? And he goes, nah, this is U.S. military. And he hits it, and he goes in their face.
Yeah.
And there is some comedy to this movie.
Oh
Uh
yeah, there's a lot of comedy in this movie for sure.
yeah, so that sets off a whole chain of reactions of that lets loose what turns into the Tar Man. Meanwhile, that was Freddie. They were working his group of 80s new wave punk friends are rolling along in their car and they decide they're going to go hook up with Freddie working at his cool medical supply job, but they got some time to kill. So they're going to go party in the graveyard. And there's one with bright red hair, and she just strips down and gets naked. She kind of reminds me of you, Breezy. I can see you doing that. just
Yep.
partying.
I knew there you were going to say that.
Yeah.
When I seen that, I'm like, watch, he's going to say on the podcast that that looks just like her and that Breezy would do that. Yep, you're totally correct.
You called it.
That is kind
Anywho,
of hot though.
right? Yeah, totally. So she's dancing in the graveyard, and everyone's like, "Hey, get a load of this!" And then uh, meanwhile, they're just kind of doing their thing. The zombie attacks. Oh, when the two people passed out when the chemical got burst, and then they come to and they're all sick. But then they go upstairs and they hear pounding from the room where the fresh cadaver was, and you see the pinned butterflies on the wall are flapping. And then they find looks like a dog laying there going bark, 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 bark. And then they flip it over, and it's the split dog with all the guts
Yeah.
showing. It's half a dog, and it's alive, and it's like, ah! It's so gross.
I don't know. Out of that whole movie, I think that my favorite scene is that graveyard
Yeah,
when she's like stripping down, like nude and stuff,
yeah.
and then the music that goes with it. I'm like, oh my god, that's like disrespectful of the dead, but actually, it's kind of hot.
It
I
kind
like
of,
that vibe.
you're right, kind of sets the tone for the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, this movie's definitely all about going above and beyond in terms of the violence and the gore and the slapstick and the nudity and everything else. Um, but now I'm all flustered. Now I can't concentrate anymore.
Oops.
Return of the Living. Stay tuned, folks, for part two of Return of the Living Dead.
You can do it, man.
Okay, so he calls his buddy. They're gonna open the cadet. Oh, they beat the half of dog to death with like a crutch or something, and then he calls his friend, and he's like, "Okay." He gives him this big pickaxe. He's like, "I'm." He stands way in the back, and he's like, "Okay, you open the door and you hit him with the pickaxe." And then he opens the door, and the thing comes running out 100 miles an hour and goes straight for the guy that's standing way in the back and jumps on him and starts biting him. Which I thought that was funny as hell, to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
a
Like
little
that
cheesy.
plan.
It was a little
That
cheesy, but it was more for so funny. Then I'm like,
Right, exactly. Definitely cheesy. And so they're like, well, Night of the Living Dead, they destroyed the brain, and that's how you kill the zombie. So he puts the pickaxe right through the thing's brain, and you find out that in this movie, nothing stops these zombies. They can cut him into pieces, and the pieces are still moving, and that's exactly what they do. They cut his arm off, and his arm's still running around, clawing. It doesn't matter what you do to them; they're still coming after you. So they
that's what
get
I like though.
yeah, that's cool, and it makes it like it's like creepier because like what the fuck do you do?
Yeah.
So there's like they're right next to a graveyard as we talked about earlier, and there's also a mortuary and a crematorium where they like burn the bodies. So
Mhm.
he's like, I know. They bring all the body parts over to the crematorium and they talk the guy into first they say it's rabid weasels, and then he's like, that's bullshit. So then they're like, okay, look, it's an arm. He's like, holy shit. And then they're
Yeah.
like, we're gonna burn it all up. Okay. So they crank the crematorium to 11. They throw all the body parts in, and they're like, they're done, done and done. But you see all the smoke go up, and it goes up into the clouds, and then there's a big thunderstorm, starts a torrential
Rain,
rain,
rain. Yep.
right into the graveyard. And then there's actually these really cool shots of like the dirt and like it's seeping down through the dirt into the
I like
graves.
that.
Yeah, like a cool like cross section shot.
Yeah.
And then so now the problem just got way worse because instead of just one little room full of undead things, you got a whole graveyard burst into life. And our friends are over there partying in said graveyard. And so it's an attack and it's mayhem and it's carnage. And then an ambulance shows up and they get killed almost immediately. And then the one zombie goes to the radio and goes, "Send more paramedics, please," or something like that.
Yep.
And so they keep sending more ambulances and they keep attacking and killing them. And it's just they go back the zombie that was in the barrel when they first show him, he was all dried up, but then after the barrel bursts it like gets all liquidy and goopy and
It
black
looks
and
like it's
dark.
like melting off his face.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what they call tar man.
Yep.
And so when they go back to the uh to the warehouse, he's there waiting for him. He goes, "Brains," and he's got this really deep cool voice and he's crazy looking. And someone did a really good cosplay of that like 2 years ago.
Oh, I CryptCon?
Yeah, Crypticon. I think it won.
Oh, I maybe if I seen a picture, then maybe I would have seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like dead on. So, anyway, it's they got all kinds of zombies to contend with. Um and really I kind of just lose track of the details of the movie because it's basically zombies and it's killing and it's running around and there's slapstick and there's hijinks and some people get away. You know how zombie movies do? You know, all zombie movies are kind of the same at the end of the day, really, when you think about
Yeah.
it.
Well,
That's
see,
what,
like me, I'm not into the zombies at all.
right?
I will watch it if I haven't seen it, but it's like so many years of trying to watch these zombie movies. I'm trying to get into it. It's just I physically just can't. I don't know why.
I honestly, I totally get it because they all, like I just said, they all kind of are repetitive. Like Night of the Living Dead is, of course, a classic, and it was George Romero, and he was the first one to do it, so it was like new and it was cool. And then, they add little twists, like 28 days later, they're
Yep.
fast and can run instead of slow. Or, you know, I saw a movie in the 80s called Video Dead where zombies came out of the TV. And it's like, ooh, what a plot twist. But at the end of the day, it's zombies and you can't stop them, and they keep getting more and more, and your friends get turned into zombies, and you
I think
either,
that's I think that's probably what it is. It's like the same thing over and over and over again. It's like
yep,
if they did like each movie a little bit different on these zombies, then maybe I'll like a little bit more. But it's like we know, okay, we know how these zombies turn to zombies. They walk
yep,
up and they kill. Great FX, see
yeah,
some movies. It's yeah,
it's
I'm
right,
not into it.
yeah.
Not into it. Sorry,
It,
people.
it's been done to death, no pun intended. But
Yep.
okay, pun was intended. I'll admit it. But I do like the ending to this movie. So the ending is spoiler alert. Here comes the ending. Everyone get ready. So there's a number on the side of the barrels that they've avoided calling the entire time because they're like, "That's the military. You don't want to get the military involved." So they finally call the number on the barrels, and they go through this whole thing of like he gets transferred to this colonel, and this colonel's taking down notes, and he's like, "I see," and he's very professional and serious, and he's like, "Okay, we'll take care of it." And then he calls this other guy, and then they show them back at the place, and it's like, well, apparently the military was planning this would happen someday, so they have a plan already in works. And they're like, "Oh yay, we're saved!" And then they show this great big like tank out on some hill somewhere, and they're like, "Oh, the range is 147 miles," and do 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 do. And you see a big nuclear missile go in the tank, and then shoo, and then
Yeah,
wow. And it was like, where was it? Kansas or something?
I
Or
believe so. Yeah.
yeah, like Wichita, Kansas, I think. It's like, oh, minimal casualties, only 4,000 people dead. Yay, good job, sir. And it's like that's kind of awesome. That in and of itself is kind of awesome. I hate to say it, but way
Yeah.
to end the movie. Problem solved, right? Done. Done and done.
There
Except,
you go.
much like the crematorium, you see the smoke and the ashes rising up into the sky, and then there's a big thunderstorm, and then it shows a rain, and then it shows the water seeping down through the dirt into the graves, and then a skeleton comes bursting up, and that's how it ends. Love the ending. I
Oh
love
yeah.
me the movie that ends on a dark note.
Yeah, I'd rather show that than like a zombie coming up to the ground. Oh, you got
Hmm.
a skeleton. Oh, yay, it's something different.
Yeah. That
I'm
that just
sorry.
goes to show it doesn't matter how dead you are, it's still coming back. Even things that are
Yeah,
just nothing left but bones. Bones, I tell you, are
there you
coming
go.
are coming
Bones.
back. So I would rate this one a 6 because I liked it a lot. I thought there was a lot of fun. I thought though there was a lot of good acting and some
Mm.
spicy scenes and some fun and laughs. Good times were had, hijinks. But at the end of the day, it's just a zombie movie. It's blah. What do you think?
I'll give mine probably a 5. I do like the music, like 80s music, 70s
Hmm.
music. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's 85. So yeah, that I like the style. I really like the graveyard scene though. That
Right.
one's actually my favorite.
Heck yeah.
And I
That's
do like the actors and actresses how they played that. But that's all I can give it. I'm not into the zombies.
right. At least this one has a new wave punk vibe with some good 80s music
Yeah.
and a little bit of comedy and a lot of gore.
Yeah.
Fair amount. So, yeah. All right. So, any last thoughts about Easter Sunday or 420 or zombies or Crypticon or horror in general?
Yeah, speaking of Kuchikon, this Saturday I'm going to see Felicia Rose on Saturday.
Also,
David Sharon is going to be there too.
yep.
Yeah, from Scary Movie.
Yeah.
Daffy, I think he was.
Yeah, Officer Doofy.
Yep. And
But oh, go ahead.
Felicia Rose was in Camp
Sleepaway Camp.
Sleepaway. Yep.
Yep.
That's my favorite. That's why I love her on that one. And
She's
then she was also in Terrifier too.
Yeah. Dave Sheridan we actually interviewed back on the Minnesota Meatloaf podcast back in the day. So that's kind of fun that he's
Wow.
yeah, that's kind of fun that he's gonna be there. But Felicia Rose, noted for the most famous face in the final scene of a horror movie of all time, of that creepy face that I'm sure she's had to make in 8 million pictures
Oh
for
yeah.
fans over the years.
Well,
But
I'm pretty sure she was in like the whole movie.
oh yeah, but that face at the end is
Yeah,
iconic.
that face. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So that's gonna be fun. I wish I could go with. I'm jelly. But have
I
fun.
can't wait. But yeah, it's only a one night deal. Saturday. It's at some brewery at some like rail
Something like
somewhere.
that.
Yeah, somewhere like that.
Google Crypticon Minnesota if you're interested.
Yeah. Tickets is $20 online, then $25 at the door.
Yep. Should be fun.
I'm excited. But I hope you all have a great Easter, safe travels. Don't get too high if you're into that.
Right. Be safe, have
Mm.
fun, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.